or depending where you're watching from. All right, you're welcome to Power Apps ABC with Kenechukwu, and in this session, I'll be showing us how I was able to achieve this landing screen with a carousel-like future. All right, so without wasting much time, we can see the how each image is sliding. So this is an incident reporting application where you can click this button and it shows you all the reported incidents, and you can also click this button and it shows you can actually report a new incident. So the goal of this session is to show you how I was able to achieve this sliding of image. So without wasting more time, let's get started. All right, so before we get to recreate this from scratch, okay, our focus will be on this side of the landing screen. This side is, I think, is well explanatory, just adding the text and your buttons. So I was able to achieve this using button, and I didn't connect this to my data source directly. I just used collection to get my. You can see this part is the title and the description for every image. So let's go to app on start. Right, so let's see what I have on my on start. On start, I have my collection. You know, collection is basically your temporary data storage. All right, so the name of my collection is called Carousel 2. I used to have one. So the first item on my collection is the ID, then the images. I called it image 1. The welcome text is welcome, then the description is welcome to the incident reporting app. So the same thing, the second item on my collection is ID2, which is the image. I just named it image 2. Title is safety tips, then the description is report hazard immediately to keep. So we have like 6 items on this collection. Then I also set the current slide index to 1. I set the current slide index to 1 so that we'll be working with this current slide index. Also, we are using a timer, so on timer end we are setting a formula that will help us to set the current count index. So we are going to achieve this using a timer. We are not using a gallery but a timer. All right, so this is the timer. So let me click on this on the landing page screen 2 so I can open it, and this is the timer. I set, once you add a timer, you would set the duration to 3000 milliseconds, which is 3 seconds. That is the duration of the changing of image. We set it to 3000 milliseconds. Then the repeat, we set it to true. The auto repeat, auto start is also true. Then you also the start, you set it to true. Then on timer end, you now add this formula. Let me just set it on timer and on timer. All right, this is it here. We said current slide index. We are setting the, on start of the application, the current slide index is 1. So if the current slide index is 1, it will show the first image. We are now saying if the current slide index is greater than the number of items in our carousel 2 collection, then reset it to 1. S plus 1, it will be the next image. I hope you understand that. All right, so I think you will understand. Let's just keep going. So I was able to achieve this using responsive containers, and you can see this is, let's just start from scratch. This is screen 1. All right, we'll be using this screen 2 to do it. So the first thing I did was I added a container. I added insert container, added horizontal container so that it can place the two screens side by side. One is for the carousel, the other one is for the text. All right, so now we want this thing to cover this entire screen, so we'll change the width to parent.width and the height to parent.height. So you can parent.width. You can either do it using your left hand pane here, or you go through the property pane. You will see the width and also the height. When you click on the height from the right hand property pane, you can see the height is currently 200. So I want to change it to parent.hide. So currently you can see it is not well placed, so we need to change the x and y value. We need to set it to 0. When you click on it, you set the x of the container to 0 and the y to 0. That way it will lap proper. Alright, we can see if I click on this, you can see everything is well positioned. Alright, so the next thing is just to take out the drop shadow and the border reduce from our container. So I'm taking out the drop shadow, and I'm also taking out the border radius. I don't want any border radius. I'm also setting the border to none, so I don't need the border. So if I play it, you will not see anything, although there's a container. But if you allow the borders and drop shadow, someone can actually know that there's a container. So we can name this just for reference sake. You can change this and name it, you can call it something. Let me call it main container, to be housing the left and the right container. So this is our main container. So you can see from this we have the left and the right. So let me try and run my app on start. Alright, so we have the left and the right container. The left container is housing our image control, and the right side is where we write our text and our button. Alright, so when we come back to what we are doing here, so now we have our horizontal container. So the next thing is to add the two other container, the left and the right container. So I will just inside, you just click on this and highlight it, and you say insert container. You call it, alright, this is we can call it, since I already have left container, we can call it container A. Let me rename it to container A, which is the one staying on the left side, container A. So I would set the width to parent.width divide by 2. So we want to divide it by 2. So I'll now say width of this container, width is parent.width. Parent.width will capture the entire width. So when you divide it by 2, it will just take half of divide by 2. Then so we want to turn the flexible width. So once I turn the flexible width, you can see it is taking half of the container. So we want to set the border to none, and also the border reduce to none, and the drop shadow we want to make it to be light, to be none also. So we already have the left side container. So I'll just copy this instead of Ctrl C, then I'll paste it into this main container. I'll paste it to save our development time. So I'll paste it now. We now have two containers. So I'll rename this second one to container B. Container B. Alright, you can see container B now. We now have two containers, the container A and container B. So container A is the one that will be housing our image, that will be sliding, that will be housing the carousel. So the next thing is we need to add a container for the description, to handle the description. You know, from here now, from our landing page, we have the description, the title, and the description. So to do that, I will be adding on inside our container A, I'll be adding another container, a vertical container. I will say insert container. Inserting a vertical container, I'll give it the height of 100. I'll give it the height of 100. Turn off the flexible height or width. So this is the this is the container. So we can call it, you can rename it to, let's call it info container, giving us information about our carousel image. Alright, so once you turn off the flexible height, so once I turn it off, turn off the flexible height, also set the height to 100. So we'll be setting the height to 100 and turning off the flexible height. Alright, so this is it. So I want to set the height to 100. Alright, the height is 100. So the next thing is we want to add you can take out the, see, let's play this now. If you don't take out the drop shadow, this is how it will be looking, but you don't want this to be obvious, so you just go to the property pane and take out the drop shadow. Click, go down here and search for your drop shadow. Set it to none. That way nobody will know there's a container. Then the border radius, we are setting it to 0. Border, we are setting it to none. Alright, if I play it, you would see there's nothing. You would not see any sign, but there's a container there. Alright. So the next thing is to add our image control. We select, so the next thing is to add our image control. So you select, we have our main container, which is housing the two containers, which is housing container A and container B. So inside container A, we have our container for information. Then inside it, we'll be adding our image control. Image. So I will just select image control. So I'll give you the width of parent.width. So to cover the entire width, parent.width. Then I'll give you the height of, I want it to take the remaining space. So to take the remaining space, we say parent.height minus this container here, the information container.height. So I'll just copy it out. So the height of our image control, let's select it. The height, now we'll change the height to parent.height minus the information container. Height, we'll now say parent.height minus this info container height. You can see this is the info container, so we can just reorder it, send it to down. Alright, if I play this is what we have. So we can set the X and Y to 0 so that it will lap to the end. So I will come back, look for the X property, check for the X of property of my image, check for S, set it to 0, then check for the Y also. Okay, set it to 0. Alright, so I hope we understand, we are getting what I'm doing. So this is the main container, our main container, which is housing the left and the right container. I would have used left container and the right container, but I've used it here. So I don't want to repeat that name. Alright, this is the left container, this is the right container. So the left container is housing our carousel, while the right container is housing our app name and logo. Alright, so when we go back here, we've added our image control, then we've also added the information container. So the next thing is to add our text label to display the title and description. So I'll just say insert the text label, text label 1. I'll give you the width of parent.width. So it will take the entire space here. Currently the width is 150, but I'll say parent.width. So it will take you can see parent.width, you can divide it by 3 if you don't want it to. Parent.width divide by 3 or divide by 2 or divide by 1.5 if you want it to be alright like this. So I can choose to copy this and paste it again. Paste it to the information container so that we can have 2 text label. So once I paste, alright, I just pasted it there. So the first label is for our title, while the second is for description. So you can rename it to description label. This is our description label, while the first one is title label. Okay, we can choose to give it a padding left on this container to shift it from the, so we can give it a padding left of 10. Padding left, scroll up to the scroll up, this is padding left. If I give it a padding left of 10, it will shift it a little from the edge. Alright, so the next thing now is where our formula comes in, and we'll be adding a timer. So we'll be adding a timer. You go to this part and type timer. This is what does the magic. So alright, this is our timer. So we'll put it on repeat. We turn on the repeats, we turn on the auto start, and then we also start. We also turn it, we set it to true. Start is currently false, and we set it to true. We set it to true. So what we did is we inserted a timer, and we set the repeat to true. It will keep on repeating itself. Then the auto start, it will start by itself, and the start by true. Alright, so the next thing is on timer end. There's a property called on the timer end. On the timer end, it is setting the correct index. It's checking if the correct index is greater than the count of items in the carousel. It should return it to 1. Else, it should add it. It should add 1. So it will be the correct index plus 1. So if the correct index was 1, it will increase it to 2. If it was 2, it will increase it to 3. Counts plus 1. So let me just show us. On start of this, we said we set the current index to be 1. We set the current index to be 1. On start of our application, we say current index should be 1, and the whole item we have on this carousel collection, there are 6. We have 6 items. So the next thing is to go to our image control. We'll now say look up to our carousel image where ID is equals to the correct slide index, then return the image. So lookup returns an item. So we can now search for the image, and the image will be, we are saying lookup, say look up to carousel, then carousel. Alright, this is called carousel 2, where the ID is equal to current slide index. So we are saying look up into this collection where ID is equal to the current slide index, then return the image. Okay, it has returned the current slide index that it is 1. So we can copy this same code and come back here and say look up the text. We'll go to the text property. I'll go to the text, and instead of having this, I'll just say, I'll paste this. We are now saying instead of returning image, we want to return title. Return the title. We say look up into carousel collection where ID is equal to the current slide index, return the title. So we'll do the same thing for the description. We'll say, I'll go to the description text label. So the same thing for our description. Alright, text will be lookup, we'll return description. Alright, if we play this, you would see this is it. Welcome. The title is welcome. Welcome to the incident reporting app. And you can see it is not changing because we've not said on timer end, on the end of our timer, do something. We are saying on the end of our timer, it will check our carousel collection. It will check if the current slide index is greater than count rows. The number of, count rows will count the number of items in your carousel image. If it is greater than the number of items there, return 1. Set the current ID to 1. S, the current slide index plus 1. So that's what we'll do. That is what is going to cause the changing of the image. So let's just go back on our timer. This is our timer. On timer end, on end of, this is currently counting on 60. So we'll change it to 3000 milliseconds. Sorry, we'll scroll up and change it to 3000 milliseconds, which is 3 seconds. If you want it to be faster, you will reduce it. This is 3000 milliseconds. So if you want it to be faster, you reduce it. So currently we are setting it to 3000 milliseconds. So I'll just quickly go here and just copy it, so we'll not waste much time, which I have tried explaining it. So I go to advanced, on timer end, this is the code, Control C, I close it, this is it. On timer end, this is the property here. On timer end, on the end, at the end of every count, do something. We are saying on timer end, it will check. This is what it is checking for us. It is checking if the current slide index is checking, is setting this, is setting the current slide index. You know, on start of the application, we said the current slide index should be 1. Then we are now saying if the current slide index is greater than count rule, it is we are counting the number of items on this in this collection. If it is greater, return 1. Else, you should add 1 to the current slide index. So with this, it will keep on. So for instance, if we have the number of items on our, remember, on our carousel collection, we have 6 items. So if our current slide index is greater than 6, if it is 7, for instance, it will set it to 1. Else, it will plus, if it is 5, it will plus it to 1. That means it will return the 6th image. So this is where it happens. Current slide index greater than the number of items, return 1. Set the current slide index to 1. Else, add 1. So it's very simple. So once I close this and play, then app on starts, run on starts. Then if I play this, you will see, you can see the effect. You can see it is now changing. On timer end, it will check if the current slide index is greater than the item, it will return 1. Else, it will keep plusing 1, and it keep happening like that, happening like that. That is how I was able to achieve this. So the next thing is, for this thing not to be, the timer not to be visible, you just hide it. You just turn off the visibility. You just go to your timer and set the visible property, turn it off. Then you can also go to your image control and you can make it either fill or fit. This is currently fit. If you make it fill, you can see it will fill the entire space. So you can see it has filled the entire space. Then you can set the fill of your container A. You can set the fill to any color you want. Take for instance, we want it to be blue. We'll go to fill. Let me see. You go to the fill. Let's see, primary fill. I have a color called primary color. All right, this is what we are. This is okay. This is all right. Let's just copy this same color so everything will be uniform. I'll just go to this one and copy the fill. Container. Let's just go here. Check on the fill. Alright, this is a fill, so I can just Ctrl C and go back and just add it. Screen 2. You can see check out the fill, and so you can see this is the fill. So we'll do the same thing here. This is the fill. So also, if you want to add, so that on the container A also, you can choose to do it. So the information container. All right, so this is it. So now you can now change the color of your text to color. Let's go to the color. I'll set it to my primary color. Same thing for the upper one. The color, I'll set it to my primary color also. So if I play this, you can see now. You can see the carousel effect. So we can see how simple it is to achieve this. All right, so the right side of it, it's very straightforward. It's just adding your text, the HTML text. So I will not be doing that because we've spent a lot of time here. So I'll just peruse through what we did. I'll just go over what we did. All right, on start of the application, I created a collection. On start, I created a collection. I call it carousel2. This is my primary color. I just set a variable and I called it primary color so I can reuse it all over my application. So ID1, I set it to the title to welcome. So if you want this to be dynamic so that you can be updating it from your back end, so you don't have to come to your app every time to come and be checking it. So you can create a list, then load it to your collection. A list with image and title and description, so you can load it to your collection, so that's what you'll be using. So you can always change the title description from the list instead of coming to the application all the time. So this is the collection. Collection is a temporary data storage. So called carousel2 ID1. So we did it till the 6th item. So I also set the current slide index to 1. So when I did that, and now came here, we added our left and the right container, then we added our image control. We now say look up to that carousel image where the ID equals to the current slide index. Remember, our current slide index is changing from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So when our current slide index is 1, it returns the number 1 image with ID 1. If the current slide index is 2, it returns the image with ID 2. If the current slide index is 3, it returns the image with ID 3 and so forth. Then if the current ID goes beyond 6 and 7, it returns it to 1. So that is where on timer end we were able to put that if current slide index is greater than the count rows of what is in our collection, set it to 1. S, set it to current slide index plus 1. So with this same logic, we're able to apply it to this information container. We can put a top padding onto the container so that we can bring it down a little. Padding top, we can make it 5, or padding to the top, let's say 5 and see. All right, to take it down a little. So we said on the title, we say look up to this collection where current slide index is equal to the ID, return the title. The same thing for the description. So with this, you'll be able to replicate this. I hope we learned something from this session. Please, if you derive value from this, hit the subscribe button, share, comment and like. That way the algorithm can refer these videos to a lot of persons or people. Thank you very much, and do have a great day. So this is it, changing from image 1, image 2. So the right side, you can actually add those text yourself. Just welcome to the name of your application. All right, do have a great night.